Today I'm going to show you behind the scenes and what goes into recreating any type of crash I do in the F1 game. If you followed my channel for a while, you know I'm the guy who can somehow manage to recreate almost any Formula 1 moment in game, no matter what is thrown at me. I've been recreating F1 moments every year since 2017, and nearly a decade later I've learned a huge amount about the games, from AI behaviour and car physics all the way to camera work and editing. So you're about to see the patience I've learned to master over this time. Throughout the video I'll be talking you through different stages of the recreation so you can understand what exactly we're focusing on and why certain decisions have to be made along the way. In this crash, Razer comes out the swimming pool section sliding through turn 15 before smashing into the barriers, losing his front wing and left rear tyre in the process, while also damaging his rear wing. But in this scenario it's not all possible to get that outcome of a crash like this, so during this video you will see a few little decisions I need to make while recreating it. I've first set the weather to the exact conditions shown in the crash, which would be clear and realistic for this one, along with simulation damage to help with the front wing completely coming off. I also set up a 100% sprint race so I can have my choice of tyres before lights out, which in this scenario would be the hards. Now the reason for selecting sprint is because if I do this on a normal Grand Prix weekend and retire once I've finished the scene, I can't go back and I can only advance to the next session, which in some cases is not what I want, as I may still be wanting to use that scene for another part, which is the one I've just saved. Even if I've done a mid-session save, that will still wipe everything completely. But in sprint races, once we get to the results page, I'm able to restart the session, which makes my life a lot easier, rather than having to start a new session or quitting the game many times. We don't need to worry about AI in this crash, so they won't matter on that side of difficulty, and of course one of the most important parts is the camera settings, which I normally set up just before or even during the session if I feel like they aren't spot on. To help with this crash, I will change the wings from 50 to the front and 0 to the rear, so the back of the car is more loose when turning into the corner, which is exactly what happened in Isaac's shunt. From here it's a matter of driving to the scene of the crash, but the only thing that can set us back early on is the TV cameras. In some cases I may be forced to drive a few more laps so I can get the closest TV camera to the real life replay shown for the clip, which is exactly what happened here. The TV cameras from lap 1 to 2 in game will remain the same between myself and the AI, any lap after will be random for each individual. So you can see here the lap 1 camera for Monaco at this section we are recreating at isn't exactly what we want it to be, so then I am forced to drive another lap to see if I get lucky on lap 2, which this time around we are. Once I know I've got the TV angle sorted, I then proceed to make life easier for this crash by overheating my tyres a few corners before the crash scene, and now this is where the fun begins. So this is part 1 of 2 for making this crash. We first focus on the entry into the corner, followed by sliding right up until when the front of the car goes into the barriers. I'll explain later on in the video why it has to be done in 2 parts. You will also see me do a lot of mid-session saves and all this. You may even think I'm crazy going back to recreate the moment again when the previous attempt shown looked fine, which is just my initial feeling on the crash, knowing I can do better and getting exactly looking like it was in real life. You'll also see me checking my phone a lot, as I like to keep my brain active looking at the real life crash so I can study further on how close my current recreation attempt looks to the actual thing. FP3 was also on for Monaco during this session, so if you see me looking to the left, I'm watching what's happening during the session. Here you can see I'm trying to get the car to go perfectly over the curb the way it did in real life, because currently these attempts are going far too over the curb. This is the exact moment I feel happy with the initial slide going through the corner, so then I proceed to do a mid-session save, which allows me to work on the clip more if I exit the session or try to do another attempt of the scene when restarting the session. Since the initial save will be shown in the full race replay on the results screen, I can now use a flashback to the point I feel like I need to work on, which is just after the slide happens. Now here it's about focusing on getting the car's position right while sliding into the wall, requiring me to slightly hit the left curb and proceeding to crash into the wall at a slight angle, hoping the front wing will fully come off and the car will spin to the point where it stops exactly like the real thing. Trying all that in one single take is way too difficult, so instead of trying to do the full thing, I then retire from the session after I'm happy with my attempt of sliding through the corner to the exact moment I hit the barriers, meaning once I save the first half, I can then play about with the impact scene, so I don't need to perfectly take the corner like I did for this part, which gives me more chances to get the car's movement bang on after spinning round from the barrier impact. I save the replay about 3-4 times to make sure I have it just in case something goes wrong like my game crashing etc, and then I go ahead and record the first part. Now remember, this crash is nearly impossible to do in one take, so that's why we're doing it in 2 parts. The final result will come down when both clips are finalised and I can put them into the editing process. Unfortunately, I make a big mistake while starting the second part to this, as I forget when restarting the session, all TV cameras will reset unless you use a flashback at the moment in replay where that previous camera was shown, and in this case I must have used my flashback just before the camera switched, meaning we end up with the lap 1 replay camera, which is not the one we want. And you can see here I absolutely nailed the impact scene just to then find out we have the wrong TV camera, and you can see how frustrated I look. This for sure can be very frustrating when doing this, and you think I'd be losing my patience very quickly. It can happen from time to time, but I've been used to moments like this for many years now, and I've learnt a lot on how to handle them, even if it does play about with your emotions. You must think at this point I would restart or simply drive round to get the exact camera again, but instead I take the decision just to work on the on-board shot, as we're currently in a good place to get this scene absolutely bang on. Only problem is I know I'd have to recreate this scene later on, which is just for one single camera shot, but sometimes you need to take the chances and go with what you feel's best. Once I felt happy with the onboard shot, I then go ahead and retire once again and save about 2-3 times, and after recording we have now completed the onboard shot, with only the impact from the TV camera's point of view left to do, even though it technically should be completed already, but things happen and what can you do? I then had to completely restart and drive around until I got the right camera, which again would be on the second lap, and we just repeat the process of trying to perfectly hit the barriers to where we did in the first part, so it helps it look absolutely perfect when I put it into the editing process. After finally getting what we wanted, I proceed to retire once again and save before recording the shot, meaning we have now completed everything we wanted, minus the shots which are shown after the car has made the crash impact when the TV cameras pick up on it. They will be done in photo mode and taken care of in the editing process. Now you must be thinking the recreation is not exactly perfect because the rear tyre never came off in the rear barrier impact, which of course you're right about for sure, yes, but the rear tyre physics are quite frankly the worst thing ever in the F1 games currently. They're so unpredictable and you barely get the outcome you want unless it's an impact where the car doesn't move. I know all this because I've had to deal with so many painful recreations over time, and anything to do with rear tyres detaching or coming off are simply my worst nightmare. So that's why I instantly knew what to do for this particular recreation, and don't get me wrong, I did actually attempt my luck with it, but I won't waste your time as I was there for probably about an hour straight before I finally gave up and stuck to what I originally had. This then all goes into my editing software, and after syncing everything up down to the last little detail, we end up with something like this.
Isaac Hadjar going again on the hard tyre, he's dropped it into the wall! Isaac Hadjar, who has been driving with a margin through this session, goes beyond the limit, and he has stuck it into the barriers just below our commentary box. And Isaac Hadjar brings out our first red flag of the weekend.
Yeah, it's the onboard here, so he turns it in. Oh, he doesn't.
Of course I'd love to show you guys the editing process, but I think I'm going to leave that for another video. So if you want to see that guys, subscribe and let me know in the comments and I'll maybe think about it. So there you are guys, a behind the scenes of what goes into recreating any type of crash I do in the F1 game. Hadjar's was actually one of the hardest I've had to do for quite some time, so it was definitely a perfect example to use for this video. Not all crashes are this hard, but I just want to give you guys an understanding of what it can be like. I hope you were able to keep up throughout this video, as I know things can get confusing if you haven't seen this type of work before, but I've been used to doing this for so many years now, and it's just the way I work around things. If you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments, subscribe to see more F1 content like you've just watched. Have a great rest of your day guys, take care, and I'll see you all very soon.